Borderlands 4 is coming out soon, so before I spend the next 5 years complaining about that game's story, still putting in 200 hours and pre-ordering the $120 edition because I never learn, let's get that last drop of life out of the shell of Borderlands 3. Marcus in his opening speech calls Lilith a hero and the game teacher like Space Superman throughout the entire thing. One of the first side quests she gives you in 2 contained an ecologue where she liquefies a guy into a quote flesh smoothie, and says it's awesome.
Make it very...
gruesome?
I was gonna say cozy.
You've strapped charred bandit corpses around the entrance.
Corpses can be cozy. Kinda like our place in New Haven before...
It's the emergency.
I liquefied a guy. And grab him and he just...
Liquefied?
It was... awesome.
There's plenty of other instances throughout the first 2 games and pre-sequel where she isn't a hero. Over the last 5 years since Borderlands 3 came out, I have beaten the game as every character except Amara. Start picking Zane for the clone bone action. Claptrap's flanderization is in full effect. Instead of being a sad robot, he's just a robot who makes me sad. So we actually see one of my biggest issues with the entire game in the opening. Most of the opening on Pandora is standing around and waiting, but Claptrap goes into stealth mode for about 40 seconds where you just wait. I know that sounds petty. Oh, but Borderlands 2 takes about the same amount of time at the start, I hear you say reasonably. The difference is that Borderlands 2 limits the stand around and wait time to a minimum after the tutorial. Borderlands 3 continues throughout the entire game. You fight some guys and Claptrap tells us to get a shield. This is a 2 nitpick more so than a 3 nitpick, but why didn't Roland have a shield? New U's are confirmed by the writers just in game mechanics, and are only mentioned in Borderlands 1 at the very beginning. The shield is referred to constantly throughout all the games. You can't tell me Roland, leader of the Crimson Raiders, didn't have even a green shield. We lay out Shiv like a fucking dog. We save Claptrap's stupid metal ass, and then Lilith shows up and tries to teach us about grenade mods. Unfortunately for Lilith, we have the super clone bone shadow technique. One thing that always distracts me is that the starter pistol has no way to get the bullets actually from the mag into the gun, but I'm assuming it's getting distracted in the chamber from the mag. If TDR can afford to get into copies of a gun, I'm sure it's cheap enough to be put here. Lilith lore dumps out a MacGuffin of a vault key while we wait for her to slowly walk to the door. And instead of getting introduced with even a small echo call annoyed at us for taking their base, or maybe a poking fun at Lilith if they'll do in about 10 minutes anyways, Lilith just tells us they simply are here. They just are there. And I hate to keep the Jack glaze going, but one of the reasons he worked so well in Borderlands 2 was that he was a D1 hater. In the intro cutscene, he personally traps you, blows you up, and then asks you to keel over and die before you even fight Knuckledragger.
Vault Hunter gets killed by me. You see the problem here? You're still alive. So if you could just do me a favor and off yourself, that'd be great. Thanks, puppy.
Tyrene couldn't even be bothered to show up to her own introduction. Lilith sets up camp 5 feet outside of the base we took, which would be fair if Ellie wasn't down the road another 15, or if Sanctuary was in about half a mile. Instead of somewhere safe, she lies down on a roach-infested 1-bedroom studio apartment straight out of Pacifica, or if you're not a chronic gamer, LA. We wipe out a bunch more guys and meet Vaughn, who got the shortest end of the stick scientifically possible in terms of character writing, going from my favorite character in Tales to I don't even really have words. He's like a troglodyte now who lives in smelly undies and lost all his intelligence, probably due to smoking skag piles with bandits. At least he kept his voice actor unlike Reese. Deep into my head, I have brother Troy Baker known for being in everything to reprise his role, although they basically lobotomized Reese too. To give credit where credit is due, the joke about Vaughn not wanting to romanticize a skag is pretty funny. We walk about 15 feet to meet Ellie, when Vaughn reveals his very good explanation as to why he didn't give the map to Lilith. In his direct words, I let the map slip into the hands of culty psychopaths. Being the base Sigma that Vaughn is, instead of actually explaining why he didn't call Lilith, he just reiterated our current situation and then goes to do push-ups. Insane deflection gambit from the Grand Master of Speechcraft himself. We run up to a bandit and hit a nasty lick as his key was made between 2011 and 2022 and thus easily hotwireable, and now that we have it registered, we can make an infinite amount of copies. Why we had to steal something when it seems to be easily replaced with the click of a button, I do not know, but Halo carjacking is a welcome feature to any game. At this point, you might have noticed we're not doing side quests. This is because they have such hits like the one with the big suck, which wasn't even funny when I was 15 and the game was brand new. But overall, the side quests for the base campaign I did were either not memorable or memorable for the wrong reasons, with one exception we'll get to when we get back to Pandora. While driving up to Mouthpiece, we get close enough to a Typhon to land marker to trigger Tannis' dialogue. Typhon is a very important individual for being the first Vault Hunter. Even though in Borderlands 1 the Vault is considered to be a myth by everyone,
There was a legend. Many people tell it. The legend of the vault.
So while I was going to record Borderlands 1 footage, like, all the way up to, like, the Catch-a-Ride voice lines, as I was walking away from Zed, I forgot they said this in, like, literally the first dialogue. Without the vault, will get you killed, and vault's a myth lecture. Like, dude, they didn't even play 5 fucking seconds of this game. I don't know what's worse, that Tannis, who went insane after discovering a vault, which she didn't even believe in before going to Pandora in her Echo Gathering side quests in Borderlands 1, being his #1 fan, or him being a literal shit farmer. His backstory is he farmed shit. Absolute cinema. Tyrene's first Yap session comes on, and it's nothing to hate about, nothing remarkable, but not every single line Jack said is memorable, just about 80% of them. You can probably think about 4 to 5 Jack lines off the top of your head if you're a Borderlands fan. How many Tyrene lines can you think of off the top of your head? And we are put to forced waiting gate for like 15 seconds once again. When the next few fights are longer than the dialogue and completely silent in terms of characters talking, why just make me stand around? 15 seconds here and there isn't anything major, but again, it's constantly happening. We meet Mouthpiece, most notable for introducing immune phases, which is subtle foreshadowing for every single boss in Wonderlands. Tyrene shows off her skills at sucking off dudes. We then fast travel back and stand around waiting for Captain Caveman to scream blood feud while we wait for Lilith to stop yapping so we can get our next waypoint. When we arrive, we talk to Tannis, and guess what? Wait more. Although the objective being loot everything not nailed down is funny, again, credit where credit is due, we end up just waiting a little bit longer, and then we kill some guys. Tannis says Tyre from Ilion found the first vault in Promethea. No, he didn't. I was commenting on Steel and Pandora. And I guess Lilith doesn't like us as much as the Borderlands 2 cast because she doesn't even teleport us to Sanctuary, but rather makes us drive to 2011. Lilith says she's gonna round up the other raiders. Oh boy, I can't wait to see Mordecai and maybe Brick. Except apparently he left because he was disgusted by Lilith about to execute Athena in the pre-sequel, which would make sense if later on they didn't completely ignore Aurelia's character arc throughout the pre-sequel and say nothing about the Watcher's War for 7 years from the warning. We get some biofuel, and apparently 10 corpses is enough to fuel a spaceship through dozens of warps. Or maybe somebody was collecting fuel while we were looting. Maybe the real biofuel was the friends we made along the way. We go get a spaceship part, and Tyrene says the actual stupidest thing I have genuinely ever heard come out of this fucking game.
Broken, but we make them feel special, so they fight for us and die for us. Because they finally have a place where they belong.
The bandits were all sad because they had no mommy and no daddy, and so they all instantly worshipped us as gods because we were their no mommy and daddy. Tell it to Flankstank, or to poor Shade, who had his whole village murdered by bandits for water, that if he was just Uncle Shade and he was friendly with them, he wouldn't live alone going insane after his entire village was raided and murdered. Or maybe the savages who have PhDs or whatever in the Fun and Sun Headhunter pack in Borderlands 2. Maybe if they just needed an extra dad and they would stop wearing masks and killing people and tying Hammerlock up to a fucking crucifix. We get the chip and go back when the doors to the bay close on us, and we see a cutscene where the lady who can teleport, instead of teleporting inside, I don't know, the locked doors or her spaceship, gets knocked on her ass by one Scion power push, like she hasn't taken rockets better than that. She remembers she can teleport too late and uses only the punch toy, and then instead of grabbing the vault key and doing anything, she sits there and gogs like she just saw some dude get his head blown off on iPhone. Yeah, Male Siren. Oh, that's new and all, but buddy, you're literally about to get murdered. They're gonna lay your ass out. Dog, you walked into O Block. We save her ass, go climb some stairs, and then Ellie sits down here, and begin to talk to Ellie. Oh, I wonder what wisdom does she have for us? Could it be some interesting solution to the problem? Could it be a reflection on anything that just happened? Now it's time to talk. Get to the ship. Once again, a masterful play by writers. Absolute cinema. And with that, we are off to Promethea. Another cutscene plays on the bridge with giant silence and sanctuary behind Lilith. You'll never believe what Ellie asks. She asks what the name of the ship is. Man, I don't know, could it be the giant sign? If you've ever built your own PC before, you've seen this one. Classic leave important piece of hardware hanging on by a wire. It definitely won't get broken. What a peak introduction to an all-time classic game.